Hello lovelies and welcome to this week's video. This week will be another Embrace Your Inner Goddess series, Wake the Witch, which comes from the hashtag that comes out of this book, which I'm going to be going over, reviewing, to kind of slide into a little bit of how I want this series to kind of go. I actually started reading this book after I already was considering changing part of what the series would really focus on. Like I said, I'm still going to focus on goddesses and reclaiming them, but there's going to be more to it as well. Now, this book is a good crossover for it. However, there is some problematic issues that I'm going to bring up first. And that being the main thing, which the author herself, Lisa Lister, actually says, which is that it can be misconstrued into TERF territory. And by that I mean trans-exclusionary radical feminism. And various forms of Wicca and witchcraft that are feminist-based or female-based, depending on the people leading it, that is a common thing that can happen, or how people can see it when that might not really be the case, when it's women trying to reclaim their power, and then sometimes they get really focused on that whole issue of the womb and relating it to Mother Earth and the recreation thing, when not all women can reproduce, and obviously trans women cannot reproduce. And as a intersectional anarcho-feminist, that is something that I do take into account, and I will probably mention in many of my videos when I start talking a lot about feminine, divine feminine and female power and stuff like that, that I'm not trying to be exclusionary to any of those groups. I'm just talking about a specific thing for women, and I do think that trans women do fall under that, and myself being genderqueer, I'm talking about the female body. So that's pretty much like the main thing that I found to be problematic. Otherwise, I do think that it's a great book that everyone should read. Whether you are any form of paganism or atheist, skeptic, agnostic, anything, it's really empowering, and though there are obviously portions of it that are witch-based, pagan-based, I mean, she herself isn't really Wiccan, but it has like a lot of what you'd see in a lot of basic 101 type Wiccan books at one part of the book. You also see it in a lot of just eclectic and any type of pagan book, really. Talking about various herbs, oils, what kind of spells and stuff to cast on each day, which you find, like I said, in almost every book. But the majority of the book is not that. And the reason I think that it's great for any woman or person in general trying to re-empower themselves is because a big portion of the book is based on reclaiming you. And the word witch and feminist, which are two things that I've brought up before, are two words that women have kind of been taught not to take on, or that you're being very you're being very divisive if you're feminist, and you're evil and horrible if you're a witch, which I'll get into different videos about, like the history of like women and the witch and all that kind of stuff. But like I said, this book is kind of like an overview. Ironically, like I started reading it right as I was coming up with, I really want to bring in my feminist political part more. So what is in here that is so important? Well, in the beginning of the book, what really got me was when she started talking about essentially pop feminism and women calling themselves witches, though they may not practice, though they may not really know what it is, etc. and how that at one time really bothered her, and that was something that I was personally dealing with, bothering me for about 5-6 years now. It's been like since it's become really popular again, like it was in the 90s and the 60s and the early 70s. It's become really bothersome to me to see like people just wearing, within like the goth community or other alternative communities that I've been part of, just wearing stuff that says witch, or starting to sage and starting to call themselves witches, or thinking if they dyed their hair dark they're all of a sudden a witch, or watching a season of Charmed and all of a sudden wanting to be a witch. But she brings up a good point that I kind of agree with, which is it's good in a way that this is happening, because it's getting rid of the stigma of the word witch. And a lot of the time, a lot of these people are still trying to discover themselves. And if they are bold enough to go that route, even if it is something that's popular, mainstream, if it's still somewhat looked at like bad, if they're bold enough to do that and they're starting to kind of get into it, we shouldn't be criticizing them, but instead allowing them into the journey, and being happy that the stigma is being broken and that it's no longer a bad thing. Now, do I personally have a fear that it could go a different route, where then there's a new type of view of what a witch is? I mean, of course, but nonetheless, there is a positive aspect to this happening. And if you read the book, and in future videos I'll talk on it as to the pros and cons of this phenomena. Now, other things that you can find in here is she talks a little bit about the history of like women and their oppression, as well as pagans and their oppression, and how very intertwined they are. As I know as an intersectionalist, all groups that are oppressed have an intertwine, but women and witches have even more of one, because the patriarchy didn't become like a big, huge thing until Christianity really took root. And that's when you see these spiritualities and religions that have been around for thousands upon thousands of years prior being accused of being very, very horrible and blah-de-da-da and killing them off, when a lot of them, which I'll talk about in later things, were very female-oriented or very balanced. And that's a key thing I want people to remember too for future things, is just like the word feminism, we're about balance. But anyways, what else is in this book? So I have a lot of different things folded, and for example, there's things like here where they talk about the patriarchy and women. So they to kind of backtrack a little bit, because I'm not editing again. I really want this series to be more of me, coming from me, right? Just talking to y'all in more vlog format. So she talks about how the wounds of the witches over the past couple centuries, who have been murdered, who had been hung or burned or thrown in the water, etc., are engraved in every woman, and added oppressions have been put upon us as a woman. And the idea of like wake the witches is essentially like awakening your inner woman, and that all women have a natural ability to be a witch. And that's what's so scary about women, is that we have this power. And yeah, you'd have to read the book. And again, this is stuff that I planned on talking about in future videos too, so it'll be more in depth. So this is the overview again. So on this page, for example, it talks about, this is like halfway through the book, 21st century, how a lot of people think that a lot of the issues that women have faced have been dealt with, but it's not true, because of restrictions of patriarchy, such as eating disorders continue to rise, cosmetic surgery is the fastest growing medical procedure. Though personally, again, I think that's a person's choice, but I don't think that's what they're trying to say. I think they're, sales of female beauty products have tripled, and a bunch of other things like that, and that our freedom as women, essentially, is what she's saying. Our freedom as women is superficial. So, again, I can't speak for her, but what I got from, if you read the whole chapter, I don't think she's trying to say that, like, being into makeup or being into beauty or any of that is bad, but just that the basis of how you are as a woman is just based on that kind of stuff alone, which is obviously the part of the patriarchy, lessening us as people, getting rid of our in-depth, deep power, innate intuition, our connection to the nature and the earth, and the maiden, mother, crone idea, all that, and instead creating us as just being superficial beings. And so, like, just like the patriarchs who initiated the witch hunts today, patriarchs benefit from keeping us oppressed and perpetually mistrusting each other. So that's kind of going into the whole, pitting women against each other, making us constantly compete, the drama, all that kind of stuff. So, and then it goes into, like, misogyny and sexism, make money. And going back to, like, and the fear of the witch and the wound, and it talks about, like, the cultural climate that makes women feel perpetually guilty for just simply being a woman, which is very similar to the Inquisition against pagans, making them feel guilty for just healing people and helping people out, etc. And fear is the most painful torture of all, and that we have the wounds of past lives, and all of that. And so where I was getting at, and where this can help anyone besides just that, is that I've personally, and I've been open about this, I've been going through some stuff, and that's why I haven't been making videos this often, and why I've kind of decided also to kind of go more the vlog format, at least for the foreseeable near future. I actually right now I'm getting over a concussion from an accident, but I've been dealing with stuff, and I've been open about my trauma and everything, and this book actually kind of really helped me heal and remember, like, my empowerment and who I am. And that's why, even though there are some problematic things, I try to look past that and look at the more empowering things. Like, there's right here, the witch's call. Feel the energy of the witch, the repressed feminine magic and power, the energy of the wise and wild woman who holds the secrets of Mama Earth, her cycles, her rhythms, and her nature. Know that your ancestors of what is to come bring the witch back to life and into conversation. Come together in support of each other and not in competition. Which, that right there kind of really helped me, like, remember who I was, like, when I was an organizer, when I was a strong person, who I was before I allowed the world to kind of break me back down, It's no wonder that when a woman decides to hear the call and make the witch, fear and resistance come to the surface. Now that's talking about that there comes to be a point, she goes very in depth in this, so I'm just kind of summarizing. Basically, there comes a point in every woman's life where they start to hear a call, and that is the call of the witch. And that is for us to be re-empowered, to kind of, we start opening up to, like, what the patriarchy is doing to us, and a lot of women ignore that call or deny it, and she talks about why it's understandable that happens because of the way things are set up, which I won't get into here, and then talks about, I will no longer be silenced, it's safe, you're safe, we're safe. And then there's even parts about healing, a radical self-responsibility, like taking responsibility for our actions, negative and positive, acceptance. And there's a portion where it talks about the Wake the Witch Project, which I'll put, like, the links and stuff that she has in the book below in the description section. And then the book kind of goes into the various archetypes of the witch, of the woman, that are also that of the woman, which, the strong archetypes, instead of looking at these ideas of what a woman should be that we see in media and stuff now. So bringing in the witch aspect. So the Cretic's the one that dreams, manifests, and makes magic. The Oracle, the one who trusts her intuitions and sees all things. The Healer, who heals herself and heals the world. The Sorceress, the one that's charmed, dangerous, and not afraid of the dark. And there's basically a chapter on each one of these and going into that. And I'll just leave it with this because I'm going very long from the actual book, and then I'll just summarize a little bit more. A force of nature is a natural phenomenon that cannot be controlled. You women are a force of nature. You're a natural phenomenon. You are she who cannot be controlled. And it talks also about that a woman ebbs and flows mentally, emotionally, and physically throughout the month and throughout her life. That is our job to kind of bring balance and harmony, but not by the restraints put on us by society to just not allow those emotions and stuff to flow. That's just part of who we are, and to just embrace every aspect. We are armed with ancestral wisdom, and it's an unstoppable force. And so to put things into perspective, while I was going through healing myself mentally, because when you are somebody that has gone through a lot of trauma, when I first started this channel, I had been, for the most part, healed and was doing a lot better, but it always can come back. And that's what kind of happened, was that I was doing so much work helping other people that I left myself behind. And this book kind of helped heal me, because there's a lot of sections that I have in here. I could make an hour-long video just showing each section that I think is great. And, I am a master's in counseling student too, and, I'll look at CBT stuff or mindfulness stuff that's psychology based, and it's almost essentially some of the same stuff that is written within this book that I didn't really share, but there's different parts that actually talk about trauma itself and healing ourselves and how to heal ourselves. And there's rituals, and then there's little sections on each Sabbath. There's some stuff a little bit on the moon, but this book overall, I recommend to everybody, especially those that are going to watch this series. I think it's really a book that's really important for all of you. To just finish it off, I'll just read the back. A witch is a woman in her powers. She's wise, a healer, someone who is aligned with the cycles of Mother Nature and the phases of the moon. Yet for so long, the word witch has had negative connotations, being used as an insult, a slur, and to perpetuate fear. In this book, third generation hereditary witch Lisa Lister explained the history behind witchcraft, why in past centuries the word witch has led women to be tortured, drowned, and burned at the stake, and why the witch is now working once again in women across the world today. This book will help women to remember, reconnect, and reclaim the word witch and its power. It provides an overview of the many different versions of witchcraft and their core principles and practices, and shares ancient wisdom made relevant for waking witches, including how to align your energy with the wheel of the year, the Sabbaths, and the cycles of the moon. Connect with and trust your intuition. Use divination tools. Cast circles, create altars, and set sacred spaces. Work with the elements of nature and use herbs and crystals to support your spiritual practices. Discover and work with 5 different aspects of the witch, which I mentioned earlier, and rediscover your powers and manifest your reality with spell casting. So, as I said, this book pretty much covers the basis of what this series is, and that's why I wanted to do a quick, well, it didn't end up being quick because I had so much to say about this book, and I still have so much to say. Even the title, Unleashed, Untamed, Unapologetic. And I know that kind of goes into something that some people have been saying even on my videos, where it's more vlog centered, like I've been doing it as of late, where people have been saying, you are really hard on yourself, and I get that a lot, especially while I'm going through some of my stuff. Well, if you look at my videos now compared to when I first started a year and a half ago, I wasn't very hard on myself at all. I was very confident, and it's true. There are times where I get down and I'm hard on myself, and that's very much part of the way that I've been taught to deal with it after things that have happened to me and due to society. And this book really reminded me of who I was. So instead of waking the witch, it reawoke the witch, so to speak. So I give this book an A-. I would give it an A, except for that one little problematic thing. But okay, maybe I'll give it an A, because she does admit to that and does state something about it in the beginning. So I'll give it an A. I currently am reading some other books that I think, some I've read in like a while ago, but I'm rereading because it's been so long, that I think are important as well in this realm, such as Moonology, The Maiden, The Mother and the Crone, and then Fire of a Woman, and there's a whole bunch of others that I've read before that I can, if you ask, I'll let you know. I don't want to put them all in, because like I said, I'm healing from a concussion, so I just wanted to make a quick vlog and get this one over with. There's so much I really want to say about it. I'm rambling now, but there's so much I wanted to say about this book. I mean, it talks about moon mapping, it talks about everything, and over half of it is about reawakening and regaining your power, and about a quarter of it talks about the history and the oppression of the word witch, as well as being a woman and being a strong feminist woman. And she also tells her story and background, which I found to be so crazy, because I started reading this book right after I made my coming out of the broom closet video, and her and I have some similar background, so I thought that was kind of cool. But that's all for today. I will be adding more stuff to the Etsy store, because I know it's difficult to, or it's easier rather, to just order on Etsy, and I know that I have like hundreds of more products that I don't have on there, that people have to like message me and be like, oh, do you have something for this, or do you have a spell kit for this? And I have no spell kits right now on Etsy, so I'm adding a few things. I'm also starting to slowly put my tarot readings on there that you can order from there to make it easier as well. And everything I do, I see if it's something you order, I send out within 24 hours. If it's a tarot reading, you'll get it within 24 hours. So yeah, I'm slowly adding more within the next couple weeks and throughout spring as well. So bear with me, it'll be up there. But for now, if there is something that you want or have thought you might need, you can always contact me, because like I said, I've got hundreds of other stuff that is not on there, like spell kits and stuff. So all my links and stuff will be below. I'll also put the stuff she has here in here about Wake the Witch project as well. Wait, I just saw something that I wanted to finish this off with. Vlog format is so weird. Because I'm such a, what's it called? Very structured person. So I usually have like an outline for each video. So I'll leave it with this. By the air that is her breath, by the fire of her bright spirit, by the waters of her womb, by the earth that is her body, may the circle be open but never unbroken. May the love of the goddess be ever in your heart. Merry meet and merry part, and merry meet again. Blessed be. And I love you all. Subscribe, like, share, click the bell button, and I'll see you next time. Hopefully next week.